Hello and welcome to Parental Mentals. I'm Marcus.
Hello, I'm Claire.
And today we're going to be doing something about freewheeling, blagging, sort of structure. What's best for your life? Is it better for you to just blag it and be spontaneous? Or do you prefer a routine, a structure? Like for us, we've got neurodivergent kids. We're neurodivergent. Sometimes a routine is essential. But being ADHD, I'm a bit of a spontaneous nutcase. So I like to do things outside of the box all of the time. And that throws everybody in my family. So it's a difficult mix, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I also am quite spontaneous though in certain ways. So as much as I like to know exactly what's happening and I like to have, oh, actually, do you know what? This is giving me flashbacks from being a child. Oh my God, this is so a thing. Okay, so my sister and my mum, we always used to go on these little trips together. So we'd go to Paris or we'd go to Italy. And they always used to laugh at me because they liked to have a plan and I just didn't care. I liked to freewheel. I was just like, whatever, I'll just choose. Like, let's just hop into this cafe or what should we do now? And my sister was always the planner and she just used to lead us. So she was like the leader and we would just follow behind. She'd order at restaurants for us. Oh my God, this is so weird because
maybe that's why you love me so much, because I'm this kind of like, oh my God, swinging my sausage around. Like,
no, I don't want that.
Oh, but I mean, as a wife, you would like to think you anyway. I definitely like to be led. I like to kind of know what's going on in advance, but then some days I don't. I'm a complete all over the place mess with it, really. Brilliant. I'm glad you've just realised that at the beginning of this podcast. So the whole structure of this is now going out the window because you're supposed to be the routine head. But this is what probably makes it hard for us as parents, that we are both very spontaneous people. But like William, we have to give him a warning 2 or 3 days in advance at least, and then every half an hour pretty much.
Stick to it rigidly. How dare we go off the plan?
Even if we change who's taken into school, that triggers him, you know. So like, I think that in itself means we're dictated to by our children. Now, some of you out there be like, oh, don't let your children dictate. But it's like, if you've got a neurodivergent kid or an undiagnosed neurodivergent kid that struggles when things change, then it's important to recognize that. It's also important to let them know that the world isn't just always going to adhere to their routine. However, if you want to avoid meltdowns with your kid, it might be something for you to consider. And for us, it's something we have to consider on a daily basis.
Yeah, and their needs come first. That's what their needs are. So we just cater to their needs. And it's not kind of letting them control things. It's just what they need.
Yeah, and to be honest, in a weird way, that structure does give us something to work with. Yeah, because
we're just all over the place.
Yeah, because actually before I met you, I didn't know what, I would say I was quite present with things, really. I would just kind of be like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do today. I might go to the gym. I might go and sit and play on my PlayStation for 9 hours straight.
There's so much joy in that freedom, isn't there?
Yeah.
But that kind of, the corporate 9 to 5 that I was used to previously doesn't allow for that at all.
No, that is true, actually. If you've
so that's why I'm so unhappy in that environment, because I work flexi time and I only work 2 days a week, so I can just work whenever I want. And actually being neurodivergent, that is key. So I know that my children are probably going to need a job that allows for that. But
that's actually interesting you saying that, because if you think about, I would say 80% of people are in a 9 to 5 doing the kind of, it might not always be mundane, but the mundanity of a 9 to 5, the structure, the routine. You go here, you do that, you do that, you do that, you do that, then it's the weekend. And then people then, this is why a lot of people probably end up getting smacked off their tits at weekends, because they're just so restricted by the structure of a 9 to 5, earn a living, do this, that, and the other. And I think for us, we actually, as I'm saying this now, I'm realizing that our life has got no structure at all.
None at
We're
all.
Just like, woo, pissing in the wind and covered in our own piss. So,
well, human beings actually, if you think back to cavemen, for example.
Where's this going? Let's go. Go on. Let's go back to cavemen. Go there with us, people. Imagine the cavemen.
Human beings as a species were not meant to be fitted into this 9 to 5 box of this is when you have to get up, this is when you have to be at work, this is when your lunch break is. That's just not how we're supposed to live.
No, actually what we're supposed to do is go out and catch buffalo.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know when you caught the buffalo. So you wouldn't know when your lunchtime was going to be. You certainly wouldn't know when you were supposed to turn up at work, because there was no such thing. Us as a species are not supposed to live like that. I feel very passionately about that.
I agree. And that, to be fair, we don't live like that.
Which is why we don't know.
No. And actually, this is the other thing. This is not for everybody. Some people do need routine and structure, which is what we were going back to. Like we were saying with William, he's going to have a lot of, he's probably going to be here till he's 50. Like, and that's
fine.
Something we just have to accept.
Autist that needs routine and structure, then absolutely there are a lot of autists that are like that.
Or he'll move out at one day past his 18th birthday and we'll never see him again.
Who knows?
It'll be one or the other, won't it? But I think what's really important for people who are watching this and are going like, what? I don't even know what you guys are talking about really here. Is trying to look at your own structure and your own life and your own routine. Like, do you do the same things day in, day out, week in, week out? Does that work for you? Does that make you happy?
Are they serving you?
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Because if it's serving you, then you don't need, it's not about change, is it?
No,
really? Because
like, you're just happy in your little routine. You live your life like that.
Like when we come to the school holidays, we're like, right, on Monday we're going to do this, on Tuesday we're going to do this, on Wednesday we're going to, like last in the half term, that is literally what we did. And we had a good time because it did have structure.
It did actually work.
Yeah, so as much as we're like, oh my God, be free and spontaneous, like actually the routine can work for everybody sometimes.
As a family unit, it probably is preferable, isn't it?
Yeah, but like you spoke to your mum and you're like, oh, and you phoned me up and you're like, oh, Mum's going to look after the kids next Sunday. We're going to go to the cinema. And I was like, I don't want to go to the cinema. And you're like, what? I was like, well, if we've got this time together, I just want to spend it like just doing whatever, but as long as we're together, like just doing some stuff together. I don't want to sit in darkness for 2 hours and not actually communicate. Like we could go to the cinema on our own if we wanted to, but actually just... And we didn't know what we were going to do until literally that Sunday morning. We'd spent a week knowing we had that time. In fact, on the Saturday, you almost cancelled your mum because we'd not organised anything. But that's because the structure of you as a parent is very organised.
Yeah, because you have to be, don't you?
The structure for you as Claire isn't, and that's what you're
talking about. Not at all. No, that is what I'm talking. Like, really, if I'm trying to be my authentic self, I'm just, like you said, pissing in the wind.
Exactly.
That's how I like to do it. Like we did, because actually we rocked up 2 hour little couple of hours out together, didn't we? Roughly decided what area we were going to go to get some food, where there was several different restaurants, and I made you drive to 3 of them because I couldn't decide what I wanted. And I wanted a drink from one of them, bit of food from the other one. And you were very patient with me. Actually, I know that it was painful for you.
So basically what happened was...
Because I just wanted to be in that moment and decide at the time.
Yeah, before we left, we were in the kitchen and I was like, oh, where do you want to go? She's like, oh, we could go to A or we could go to B. Now, I couldn't work out why she didn't want to go to A, because A was like, I think it was Subway or Greg's or whatever. But you wanted to go to B, which also had a Subway, but it also had everything else. And I was like, oh, well, Subway will feed us both because she's vegan and I'm a carnivore. And basically, I twigged that you fancied a Costa, didn't I? And I was like, you want to go to Costa there, don't you? But then when we were driving to Costa, you were like, I want a McDonald's. And I'm like, okay, fantastic.
You were so sweet.
So basically, we went and got you a coffee from McDonald's. We then went and got
coffee from Costa.
A coffee from Costa, and we then got you a meal from McDonald's. But we were spontaneous with it, and you're saying, oh, I was sweet. But no, I was okay. I was okay with it because I knew there wasn't a kid that was going to kick off.
Catch you on another day, different story.
Well, maybe, but I think that the point I'm trying to make is that when you've got someone who's like relies on structure, you can't deviate. You can't suddenly go, oh, should we nip to Costa and then to McDonald's and then maybe to go to Tim Hortons and then just go and do a dance in Harvester.
Oh my God, if the kids were with us that day.
William wouldn't have coped.
None of them would. None of them would.
I don't. Actually, to be fair, I think you're right. None of them would have coped with that because they need to know where they're going from one day to the next. But from that, we had a laugh about it. We got everything. Oh, we ended up going to McDonald's and KFC.
Oh, we did.
Wow, because we went to KFC for me.
Yeah.
So we went to McDonald's for you.
We had a grand old time being spontaneous.
And if we went to KFC as well.
Yeah. And if we ever go on holiday together, that's what we're like, aren't we?
Yeah, it is. It is. We are. You know, like when we went to...
Yeah, that's what I meant, just me and you.
Yeah.
Our holidays.
It's one of those. I think when we went to America, even your mum was requiring structure and routine.
Oh, yes. So that's what flashed me back to childhood because my mum and my sister were very much like, right, so what's the plan? I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here. And because I'm PDA, that absolutely annoyed the shit out of me. I was like, well, I just don't want to talk about it now. Let's just get out of the house. Let's just get on the train. Let's just go wherever I feel like at the time. But that doesn't work for a lot of people.
No.
And they would always have a plan.
Yeah, your mum she's very much, your mum needs
she has to have a plan. Yeah, and like I annoy the hell out of my family because they're like, well, next Saturday, are you free? Are we going to do this? And I'm like, well, I'll let you know.
But that's the thing with Michael. Michael messaged me at the weekend. He goes, what are you doing on Wednesday? I'm like, Wednesday? Wednesday's 3 days away.
I don't know.
So I've basically got a friend that I met at a soft play thing. That's where I met, because we both had little children that were like 1 or 2 running around. And now our kids, they're a couple of months away from each other. So they've become really good friends. And I meet up with him every week or two. And every single Sunday he messages me to see what I'm up to on the Wednesday and the Friday, because that's when our kids are both off simultaneously. And every week I'm like, mate, come on, how have you not learned yet? Like, you need to message me on Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning, which is what he did today.
Yeah.
He just messaged me to go, are we still meeting at the park today? I'm like, well, yeah, we organised it yesterday. That was in my organisational structure.
But you forgot to tell him.
But I did forget to mention it to him. So, you know, we've got this situation where we as a couple, I think, have had to adapt for our children. But deep down, we would just love to be these spontaneous, free, crazy people. And I think for you out there, if you are thinking about having kids and you do have a free, wonderful, spontaneous life, it probably will go when you have children. But that's not such a bad thing.
No, it's not, because it's given us kind of the motivation to be a bit more organised. I wouldn't say by any stretch of the imagination that we are organisers. We fuck up a lot as parents, don't we?
That's putting it mildly.
With that kind of stuff. We're terrible.
Yeah,
I forgot to pay for my daughter's school trip.
Oh shit, have you still not done it?
No, I need to call them and sort that out.
Oh my days. So when is that school trip?
I don't know.
Yeah. And we were like, oh, we need to get a calendar, because like someone said to you the other day, oh, this is happening in April or something. Actually, Dan's birthday's in April as well. Oh my God. Yeah. So actually, as we're saying this now, we're realizing that, you know, some sort of organization like a calendar or some way where you can write things down is probably quite key.
No, but what has happened? Tell them what's happened to this calendar.
Well, we bought it. We did buy one. Well, basically, at the end of January, there's a shop we go to, and they were just throwing them away for like £1 each, and they were like reduced from $12.99. And I was like, oh my God, let me get this one. This one's brilliant.
And I said, no, don't bother, because we won't use it.
And I started using it, and it's gone.
You've lost it.
Is it over there? I don't know. It could be over there.
I don't know.
It's somewhere. But anyway, we have got a calendar. We did buy one. We just don't know where it is.
And we have a whiteboard on the fridge that we write on sporadically every couple of months. And then...
I mean, I write on it daily.
Oh, do you?
Well, just to say what we need to buy from the shops.
Oh, I don't even look at it.
Because obviously I'm the kitchen meister. So when something gets... Oh, and that was actually something you ran out of the other day. And I was like, well, do you need that? And you were like, yeah. I'm like, well, you haven't written it on the board.
I don't write stuff on the board.
I know. So I'm realising now I'm more structured than you. And I thought you were the structured one.
Yeah, that's saying something, is it? You started off this thinking that I was going to be the structured point of view.
And now you're an absolute wind pisser.
I am a shambles.
Yeah,
I'm an absolute shambles.
God, who knew? Well, God probably did know. Anyway, so this has gone off a little bit of a tangent, but I think what's important for us to recognise is that it's very difficult, and again, in modern day world, to be just a complete and utter blag.
Like us.
You have to have some structure.
Brings its problems. You do have to have structure.
But equally, too much structure, you can stagnate, you can become a bit boring, and you can get stuck in just repeating the same things, which can often be the same mistakes.
I was about to say that. You get stuck in patterns, like you were saying, of the Monday to Friday and then the weekend. Like, you get stuck in an unhealthy pattern sometimes because you're not changing anything throughout the week. Whereas sometimes if we have a random week where we've changed it all up and we've done different things on different days, sometimes we've gone, oh God, that really works. Let's do that again next week.
Yeah. Well, do you remember that time you bought those boxes for summer holiday to put the kids' snacks in? And it was like this really organised thing. I
want to be like this really organised mum, you know,
3
perfect
boxes,
things.
Initial on the top. It's like, oh, what we can do in each day. We'll put a little orange biscuit and crisp in there, and then we can monitor what they're eating, and we can keep it lasted a day.
Who did we think no, it was weeks. It was a couple of weeks.
Bollocks.
It was
not weeks, mate. It was not weeks. It was a maximum
maybe like 5 days.
1 week. Yeah, maximum, and that is being very kind. I reckon.
And they really liked it, didn't they?
They did, but it's just not us. And actually, sometimes knowing who you are is important. Knowing that you're not capable of being this structured individual. But also, and we've spoken about this, it's important to also communicate that to your kids. To say to them, do you know what? We are trying to be structured. We're just not very good at it. So sorry if we've sort of not been the best. But
I'm slightly worried now that no one is going to relate to this topic, because is anyone as bad as us with this stuff?
I don't know. I mean, how think being a parent is well hard. I don't know many people who, because we're both very involved parents. There's a lot of dads out there that are less involved. They're probably not watching this podcast. If there's the sort of dad that's watching this podcast, then they're an involved parent, I imagine. And if you're not, get involved. So, you know, like, I think what we are both very involved, and it's still well hard. If you're a single parent out there, Jesus Christ, maybe actually structure is the only way those people survive. I'd love to know in the comments.
Yeah, well, that's how I survived. Do you remember that was my life?
Yeah.
I worked on certain days. I had support on certain days, like childcare. The other days, it was all incredibly structured.
Yeah, that is true.
That is how normal people survive.
But that's why I'm saying you're the structured person, because when I met you, that's how you function.
That's the life I had.
You had this work mask on, that you went to work and you did your thing, and then you finished that and you came home and you looked after the kids, and then you repeat. And actually, that is exactly what we're talking about. That I came along and I picked you up and went,
fuck shit up.
Take you out of that world and welcome to my world, where we just stand in the wind naked, weeing as it strikes you in the visage, and it's it's fresh.
Yeah.
No, but all joking aside though, like I think that has probably been the biggest change for you, hasn't it? Is that you've just taken yourself out of the 9 to 5 and put yourself into a world that is yours.
Yeah, well, it just is much more true to how I naturally am. I mean, I keep saying, oh, as a child, I was this. So, and we've hit on that before, but actually, again, I think it's really important. Like, how did you like to do things as a child? And we've talked about what we used to enjoy as a child and tapping into that as an adult, which is really freeing. And I love that way to be creative, especially. But definitely living how you like. Some children, they line things up and they want things perfect, and they, like we have children like that who like that structure. Others, like Fleur, for example, our middle child, she's much more like us. She's like free. We're like, should we go here? Should we go do this? Should we go out for a walk? And she's like, yeah. She just gets involved, doesn't she? She just wants to. Yeah. She gets that dopamine hit from changing things up all the time.
Yeah, Fleur is as spontaneous as they come. If you just walked, but saying that, if you change Fleur's.
If you change a script, a plan.
If you change something Fleur wants to do, meltdown.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the same as me. That's how I was as a child. Yeah, I liked to do all this spontaneous stuff. But if you told me we were doing something and then we didn't, oh my God.
Yeah, so for instance, I told Fleur that she could come on I've just been doing a challenge lately to run 100k for Great Ormond Street in a month, not in a day. That'd be insane. And I said that Fleur could come on my last run, because she wanted to go on her electric scooter, not because she was going to run the 6-7k with me. And I said to her very nicely, I was like, oh, can we just do that a different day, because it's going to be early, I need to get it done, and blah, 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 blah. And she handled it really well, but I could tell inside she was livid. So like an hour later, I was like, mate, we can do it on another day.
Don't bother. Yeah, that's me all over, isn't it?
That is you all over.
That is me all over.
And that wasn't even such a big thing. Do you know what I mean? But she was really annoyed that she couldn't get to ride on a scooter at 7 o'clock in the morning. And the thing is actually, it's just because she wanted to do it. It's nothing more than actually, here's something I want to do and now I can't do it. And that's difficult for her to process. And you might feel that. You might be like Claire and Fleur. And it's just like, and actually to an extent, I think if you said to me, we're going to KFC and then we went to sort of anywhere else.
Yeah, don't mess with your food. But I think tapping into the way you were as a child, what I was saying in terms of replicating that as an adult, I wasn't for such a long period of time, and I had to have this structure and this plan. I felt suffocated and like really unfulfilled. And so now I live more like I did when I was little, and how I was allowed to kind of just be, and it's much more authentically how I like to live. So I think that's like something that people could think about actually. What do I enjoy? What do I like doing? How do I like living? And making sure your life replicates that.
Yeah, and that almost comes back to chasing the dream and doing what it is that serves you. What is your authentic self? You know, and this is the thing, is that structure and that routine might be holding you back. It might be the thing that you've got, like for so many people, the thought of breaking free from that would be really scary.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people want to break free from it though. I
think they want to, but they don't know
Especially if you're creative and you're not in a creative job.
So, but maybe this is the start for you. I mean, if you are watching, listening to this and you are thinking, God, I am stuck in a bit of a structure that doesn't serve me, that doesn't work for me. Like, how can I break out from it? I think the first thing to do is just recognize that. Like, that in itself is a start. And I think
and talk to your workplace about it, because I think, especially being autistic, like I would really, really encourage any person who even just self-identifies as being neurodivergent to talk to your workplace about adjustments that they can make for you, you know, because there are a lot of amazing places to work for now that do encourage flexibility and that are kind of on board with being inclusive. And if you don't have that conversation, then you're just never going to know. And actually, if they're shit about it, then never work for them again anyway and find a new job, because there are amazing businesses who are allowing freedom for people because they know how important it is.
Yeah, and that's an important thing. You know, your day-to-day life is so essential that you're doing something that isn't taking your soul and shitting all over it. And again, I know that for some people that is an only option, and I you know, it's about appreciating what you can do and what your skill set is and where you're at. But equally, I think everybody could just take a part of their life back a little bit. And whether that means gaining some structure to do that or being more of a freewheeler to do that, I think. And again, there'll be plenty of people that are very happy with where they are, and this podcast probably isn't for you. But I just think for so many of you out there, sometimes it's not even about taking a plunge. It's just dipping your toe in to begin with.
Making
and then your
small
foot,
adjustments.
and then your ankle, and then your calf, and then everything else, you know, like just take your time with working it out, you know, work out what is what you want to do. And it might be a 9 to 5. It might be that you're happy with where you're at. It might be that you're coming home and your kids are happy and everybody's happy. And that's actually ace. In which case, can you just write in the comments how to do that? Because we'd love to know. But equally, if you are in that situation where you're looking at your life and you're like, what am I doing? Like, I wake up and I do the same thing every day and it isn't making me happy anymore. And it, you know, these things may have made you happy. You may have been happy doing that in your 20s or your 30s. When you're in your 40s now and you're like, I just want to fuck shit up. Fuck shit up. Just do it. Like, just life's too short. And again, same thing, like when we went on holiday, because this is the other thing, we do tend to have more structure on holiday, but there was times where we did just go, do you know what, William, I'm really sorry, or do you know what, your mum, we're really sorry, but we're just going to do this. We just want to go in this shop. We're just going to spend an extra 15 minutes in the shop, and I know that we're going to come out to a meltdown, but for ourselves, we just need to be spontaneous and in the moment.
Yeah, we did. It did cause a lot of meltdowns, but we just had to take them on the chin, didn't we?
Yeah, but look how much Fleur got out of it.
We just had to accept it. Yeah, and you can't possibly cater to 3 children's needs all at the same time. This is the difficulty of kind of our life specifically. But I think a lot of parents with neurodivergent children, if you've got several neurodivergent children, you can't actually be right for each child at the same time. So
it's
we kind of just have
they're
to
different. They've all got different needs. They've all got different personalities.
Vastly different needs, and we have to take turns almost serving each one's needs. Or we have to split up, sacrifice actually spending time together, which is mainly the decision that we go for, to then serve the needs at the same time, don't we?
So
that's what works for us.
And we use this word in almost every podcast, but everything's about balance. You know, like your dad used to always bang on about moderation, you know, like this is the thing. It's like everything has to have a balance. But if you're doing too much structure or you're doing too much freewheeling, it's not going to work. You've got to have a bit of both, you know, that's right for everybody in the house. And I think eventually, you know, you all start to understand it. So like William knows that, you know, I'm a bit of a freewheeler. He knows that, what's Mark going to do now? And he
does find a lot of joy in it sometimes, doesn't he? Well, if you catch him in the right moment and he's all on board.
But that's what I mean. I might sell it to him like, oh mate, I'm really sorry. I just need to go and do this. Is that all right? I'm really sorry. It's all right. Okay. Go on then. You know, and that's the thing, is that sometimes it's about reasoning with your kids as well. Like, and we've said this in many podcasts in the past, like your kids are far more intelligent and far more mature than you think. Think about when you were 10. You knew so much more than your parents thought you did. And it's the same now. Oh, there's a little Robin just appeared. Oh, hello, Mr. Robin. Anyway, as you can tell, I've got ADHD and I get distracted quite easily. But no, the whole point is that I reason with William. I don't just tell him, oh, we're doing this. Just deal with it because you're a child and I'm an adult. I go, mate.
Oh, that is not us as parents at all, is it?
But that's what I mean. But it would have been in the past that I'd just been, before I met you, if I'd have been just thrown into a parentship and just been told parent, I'd have been like, well, I'm doing what I want to do because I'm the parent and I'm the most important person. Well, I didn't have kids at that time, so there was no poor kids.
Thank God.
Anyway, so the point is, guys, balance, moderation. Can you do it? Can you find some freedom? Can you find some structure? Can you find that balance?
What works for you?
Yeah.
But we've found a good kind of equilibrium, I would say.
Good word.
Good word.
Yeah, I think, we have had a lot of moments of discombobulation, but we are now more equilibriumized.
What was the eyebrow?
What was the eye? Why was the eyebrow? Do you mean?
What was it? I don't even know what it was.
Fine. Merry Christmas to you too. So I think we'll wrap this one up. It's been a brief podcast than some of our other ones, but we've got a child to go and collect, so we've had to speak a little bit faster and get all of this through.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, and we will see you again soon.
Yeah, and who knows what we'll be talking about then? But do follow us on TikTok if you are on there as well, and we've got a Facebook page and all that sort of stuff now. So like, subscribe, hit the little bell so you get a notification when we post a video, and we look forward to seeing you soon. I've been Marcus.
Bye bye. I've been Jess.